What if Vader returned to the light on Mustafar? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Darth Vader stands in the ruins where Anakin Skywalker died. His hand trembles as he stares at a burned wooden pendant in his palm, Padmé's Japa snippet, the one she wore when he killed her. 3 years. 3 years of hunting Jedi. 3 years of crushing rebellions. 3 years of being Palpatine's perfect weapon. And in this moment, on the world where everything ended, something breaks inside him. The walls he built around his guilt, the hatred he used to drown his memories. All of it crumbles as he sees her face in his mind. Padmé, dying by his hand. The younglings slaughtered in the temple. Obi-Wan leaving him to burn. What have I become? The question escapes his vocabulator before he can stop it. And then he hears it. A voice from beyond death itself. Anakin, you can still turn back. You can still be saved. Qui-Gon Jinn appears before him, translucent and glowing. The Jedi Master, who discovered him on Tatooine, who believed he was the Chosen One. Standing in the meditation chamber of his unfinished fortress, Vader faces an impossible choice. Continue as Palpatine's enforcer, or do the unthinkable, turn back to the light. But the Emperor is always watching, and Vader has only minutes before Palpatine senses what's happening. The decision he makes in the next few moments will reshape the galaxy. This is the story of Darth Vader's return to the light. And it begins with an escape from the planet that made him a monster. The Imperial shuttle had descended through Mustafar's sulfurous atmosphere hours earlier, cutting through clouds of ash and volcanic debris. Inside the cockpit, Darth Vader sat motionless. His black armor reflecting the orange glow of the lava flows below. 3 years had passed since he last set foot on this cursed world. 3 years since Anakin Skywalker burned on these shores and Darth Vader rose from the ashes. The familiar hiss of his respirator filled the silence, a constant reminder of his transformation. Each mechanical breath echoed the rhythm of a life sustained by technology and hatred. The shuttle touches down on a newly constructed landing platform, one of dozens that now dot the volcanic landscape. Construction droids swarm the area, their movements precise and tireless as they build the Emperor's vision into reality. A massive fortress is taking shape, its dark spires reaching toward the ash-choked sky. This will be Vader's sanctuary, the Emperor said, a place of meditation and power built on the site of his rebirth. But to Vader, it feels more like a tomb, a monument to everything he's lost and everything he's become. As he descends the shuttle's ramp, a squad of stormtroopers snaps to attention. Their white armor is already stained with volcanic ash. Behind them, an Imperial officer approaches, his uniform crisp despite the harsh environment. Lord Vader, Commander Trevlin reporting. The facility construction is proceeding on schedule. We should have the primary structure completed within 2 months. The meditation chamber and your private quarters are nearly finished. Would you like to inspect them? Vader's mask turns toward the half-built fortress. Through the Force, he can feel the dark side energy already permeating the structure. Palpatine has infused the very foundations with Sith alchemy, turning the fortress into a nexus of dark power. It's meant to strengthen him, to deepen his connection to the dark side. But right now, standing here where his old life ended, it feels suffocating. Show me. His vocabulator transforms his words into something cold and mechanical, stripped of any humanity. They walk through the construction site, past crews of workers and droids. Some of the workers are prisoners, Vader realizes. Political dissidents and captured rebels forced into labor. They keep their eyes down as he passes, terror radiating from them in waves. He can taste their fear in the Force, and part of him, the part that's purely Vader, feeds on it. But another part, buried deep and nearly forgotten, recoils. How many people has he sent to fates like this? How many lives has he destroyed in the Emperor's name? The officer leads him into the partially completed fortress. The interior is all dark stone and metal, lit by panels that glow with a sickly red light. Their footsteps echo through empty corridors as they make their way deeper inside. Here, Commander Trevlan gestures to a massive circular chamber. Your meditation room, Lord Vader. The walls are lined with Sith runes that the Emperor himself selected. The chamber is designed to amplify your connection to the Force. Vader steps into the center of the room, and immediately the dark side surges around him. The runes pulse with malevolent energy, reaching for him like hungry mouths. Leave me. The officer bows quickly and retreats, clearly relieved to escape Vader's presence. The heavy doors seal shut with a hiss, and Vader is alone. He stands in the center of the chamber, surrounded by symbols of power and domination. This is what his life has become. Meditation chambers and torture sessions, hunting down Jedi survivors and crushing rebel cells, serving the Emperor without question, without thought, without feeling anything except anger and pain. He moves through the chamber, his cape dragging across the polished floor. Against one wall, construction materials are piled haphazardly. Durasteel beams, wall panels, construction tools. And there, barely visible beneath a pile of volcanic ash and debris, something catches his attention. A glint of metal, different from the industrial materials around it. Vader reaches out with the Force, and the object flies into his hand. The moment his gloved fingers close around it, his breath catches. It's a Japer snippet. The wooden pendant is charred and cracked, its carved surface nearly obliterated by fire. But he knows it instantly. He made this with his own hands when he was 9 years old. A slave boy on Tatooine, with dreams of freedom and adventure. He gave it to Padme as a token of his affection, a promise that one day he would come back for her. She kept it. Through everything that followed, through all the years and all the changes, she kept this simple wooden pendant. And she was wearing it when she came to Mustafar, when she came to save him. When he killed her, the pendant slips from his fingers and clatters to the floor. Vader staggers back, his hand gripping the edge of a construction beam for support. The memories come flooding back, overwhelming his defenses. He's tried so hard to bury them, to drown them in hatred and pain. The dark side was supposed to make him forget, was supposed to transform his anguish into power. But here, in this place where Anakin Skywalker died, the walls he's built are crumbling. He sees Padme's face, her eyes wide with horror and betrayal as his hand closes around her throat. "You're with him. You brought him here to kill me." The accusation was insane, born of paranoia and rage. Obi-Wan had come to stop him, yes, but Padme was innocent. She came because she loved him, because she believed she could save him. And he repaid that love with violence. He choked the life from the only person who truly saw him, who loved him not for his power or his potential, but simply for who he was. The memories cascade faster now, each one a fresh wound. The Jedi Temple burns in his mind, lightsaber in hand, as he leads the 501st Legion through its sacred halls. The younglings huddled in the council chamber, looking to him for protection. Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do? And he ignited his lightsaber. The screams echo through his memory, high and terrified, and abruptly cut short. Children. He murdered children. The very innocents he swore to protect. He sees Mace Windu falling from the Chancellor's office, his hand severed, lightning coursing through his body. The Master's final words ring in his ears. You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. And then Palpatine's laughter, triumphant and cruel. Good, Anakin, good. He sees the Separatist Council on Mustafar, cowering before him as he cuts them down one by one. They were unarmed, begging for mercy, but he showed them none. Orders from Darth Sidious himself, and Vader carried them out without hesitation. And Obi-Wan, his master, his brother, his friend, the man who trained him, believed in him, stood by him through everything. I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. The anguish in Obi-Wan's voice was worse than any physical pain. And Vader, consumed by rage and dark side corruption, tried to kill him. Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan. I see through the lies of the Jedi. The duel on the landing platform, lightsabers clashing as lava flows around them. And then the high ground, the final warning. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. But he jumped anyway, arrogant and foolish. And Obi-Wan's blade took his legs and his remaining arm in a single strike, the pain of burning alive. That memory is always there, seared into his consciousness more deeply than any other. The feeling of his skin charring, his lungs filling with superheated air, his body consumed by fire, while his mind screamed and screamed. And through it all, Obi-Wan watching, tears streaming down his face. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you. Then he turned away, leaving him to die. Except he didn't die. Palpatine came. Palpatine always comes. The Emperor arrived with his medical droids and his promises, saving Vader's life, but binding him to a suit designed to cause constant pain. A suit that keeps him alive but never lets him forget what he's lost. 3 years he's worn this armor. 3 years of hunting Jedi, crushing rebellions, and serving the Emperor, without question. 3 years of drowning his guilt in hatred, of transforming his anguish into power. The dark side feeds on strong emotions, and Vader has an endless supply. Rage at his own failures, hatred for the Jedi who abandoned him, fear that he's become something irredeemable, all of it fuel for the fire that sustains him. But here, on Mustafar, the fuel is running out. The memories are too strong, the weight of his crimes too heavy. He drops to his knees in the center of the meditation chamber, his respirator laboring as his breathing becomes ragged. The Sith runes on the walls pulse brighter, sensing his distress and trying to feed him dark side energy. But for the first time in 3 years, he pushes it away. He doesn't want the darkness right now. He wants clarity. He wants truth. What have I done? The words escape his vocabulator, echoing through the empty chamber. What have I become? He knows the answer. A monster, a murderer, a slave. The very thing he swore he would never be again when he left Tatooine. He was going to free the slaves, going to protect the innocent, going to make the galaxy a better place. Instead, he's become the Emperor's enforcer, spreading tyranny and fear wherever he goes. The Separatists were evil, yes, but the Empire is worse. At least the Separatists were honest about their greed. The Empire wraps its oppression in the language of peace and security. Then he hears it. A voice, soft and familiar, speaking through the Force. Anakin. He spins toward the sound, his hand instinctively reaching for his lightsaber. But the chamber is empty. Just shadows cast by the pulsing runes and the orange glow of lava visible through the narrow windows. Anakin Skywalker. The voice comes again, clearer this time. It's coming from everywhere and nowhere, resonating through the Force itself. You must listen. Who's there? Show yourself. Vader's vocabulator makes his demand sound threatening, but inside he's shaken. That voice. He knows that voice. I am here, Anakin. I have always been here, waiting for you to listen. A figure materializes in front of him, translucent and glowing with soft blue light. It's a man in Jedi robes, his hair long and tied back, his beard neatly trimmed. Qui-Gon Jinn, Master Jinn. Vader's voice is barely a whisper. But you're dead. You died on Naboo. Death is not the end, Anakin. The Force is eternal, and those who learn to preserve their consciousness can persist beyond the physical form. I have been watching you, waiting for this moment. The moment when you would be ready to listen. Vader shakes his head, his mechanical breathing harsh in the silence between Qui-Gon's words. Ready to listen? To what? More Jedi lectures about the dark side? More warnings about the path I've chosen? I made my choice 3 years ago. Anakin Skywalker is dead. Is he? Qui-Gon's expression is sad but not judgmental. Then why are you trembling? Why do the memories haunt you? If Anakin is truly dead, then Vader should feel nothing. No guilt, no remorse, no pain beyond the physical. But that's not what I sense in you. I sense a man in torment, trapped between two identities and belonging fully to neither. Vader wants to deny it, wants to rage and drive this Force ghost away. But he can't, because Qui-Gon is right. Your path is not yet set in stone, Anakin. You can still turn back. You can still be saved. The words hang in the air, impossible and tempting. No, Vader's voice is firm. I am beyond saving. I've done terrible things, unforgivable things. The Jedi were right to fear me. The Council was right to distrust me. I am what I was meant to become. Are you? Qui-Gon steps closer, his ghostly form passing through the construction debris without disturbing it. Or are you simply what Palpatine molded you into? Think, Anakin. When have your choices truly been your own? The Jedi Council restricted you, held you back because of their fear. And Palpatine, he whispered in your ear for years, slowly turning you against everything you believed in. He exploited your fear of loss, your attachment to Padme, your frustration with the Order. He used you. I wanted the power to save her, to save everyone I cared about. The Jedi way was too passive, too weak. They would have let Padme die rather than break their precious code. At least Palpatine offered me a solution. And where did that lead? Qui-Gon's voice is gentle but firm. Padme is dead, killed by your own hand. The Jedi are scattered or slain. The Republic you swore to protect has become an empire that rules through fear. The power Palpatine promised you, what has it actually brought you except pain and isolation? Vader has no answer. He's asked himself the same question 1,000 times in the dark hours when the pain is worst and sleep is impossible. What did he gain? Yes, he's powerful. Yes, he's feared across the galaxy. But he's also alone, trapped in a prison of his own making. The suit keeps him alive, but in constant agony. The dark side gives him strength, but fills him with hatred that corrodes his soul. And Palpatine, the man who promised to save him, treats him as a tool to be used and discarded when he's no longer useful. Remember who you were, Anakin. Qui-Gon's voice softens. Before the dark side, before Palpatine. Remember the boy who dreamed of freeing the slaves, the Padawan who wanted to help people, the knight who fought in the Clone Wars not for glory but to protect the innocent. That person is still inside you, buried beneath the armor and the hatred. But he's there. I can sense him. Images flood Vader's mind, unbidden but not unwelcome. He's 9 years old, working in Watto's shop on Tatooine, but dreaming of the stars. He's building C-3PO in his spare time, creating something beautiful and useful from scrap parts. His mother watches him with pride and love, seeing not a slave but a person with unlimited potential. He's entering the pod race, not for money or fame, but to help Qui-Gon and his companions, to do something good in a galaxy that's been cruel to him. He sees himself as a Padawan, training under Obi-Wan. The frustration is there, yes. Obi-Wan is cautious where Anakin is impulsive, conservative where Anakin is innovative. But there's also trust and affection. They're not just master and student, but friends, partners, brothers. He remembers missions where they saved lives together, where they made a real difference. The people of Naboo, freed from Trade Federation occupation. The kidnapped colonists on Zygeria, liberated from slavery. Countless small acts of heroism and compassion. And Padme. Not the nightmare of her death, but the beautiful memories that came before. Meeting her on Tatooine when they were both children, though he didn't know she was a queen. Are you an angel? The question seems foolish now, but she had smiled at it. Seeing her again on Naboo, 10 years older and even more beautiful. The way his heart raced when she was near. Their secret wedding on Naboo, the happiest day of his life. Waking up beside her in their apartment on Coruscant, those precious stolen moments before duty called him away. The memories of their time together fill him with anguish because he knows how it ends. But Qui-Gon's presence in the Force guides his thoughts in a different direction. Remember what you fought for, Anakin. Not power, not control. Love, justice, freedom. Those were the things that drove you before fear poisoned your heart. Before Palpatine's manipulation turned your greatest strength into your greatest weakness. I was weak. Vader's voice breaks. I let fear control me. I was so afraid of losing Padme that I lost her anyway. I destroyed everything I tried to save. Yes, You made terrible choices. But understanding that is the first step toward redemption. The dark side tells you that there's no going back, that once you fall, you're lost forever. But that's a lie, Anakin. The Force is about balance. There is always a path back to the light, no matter how far you've fallen. But you must choose to take it. How? Vader looks at his gloved hands, encased in black armor and machinery. I'm not the person I was. I'm trapped in this suit, sustained by the dark side. My body is more machine than man. How can I possibly come back from this? The armor is not who you are. The dark side is not your destiny. They are chains, Anakin. Chains forged by Palpatine to keep you under his control. But chains can be broken. You freed yourself from slavery once before. You can do it again. Vader closes his eyes behind his mask, reaching deep within himself. He spent 3 years using the dark side, drawing on rage and hatred for power. It feels natural now, comfortable in its familiarity. But he remembers something else. He remembers the light side of the Force, the calm and peace he felt as a Jedi. It seems impossible to reach now, buried under years of atrocity and guilt. But as he focuses, pushing past the pain and the anger, he feels something, a tiny spark, barely a flicker, but it's there. The light side of the Force responds to his touch, tentative and fragile. It's like using a muscle that's atrophied from disuse. The sensation is strange, almost painful after so long in the dark. But it's also cleansing. For just a moment, the constant ache of his injuries lessens. The hatred that fills his mind quiets. He feels something he hasn't felt in years. Hope. The feeling is so unfamiliar that it takes him a moment to recognize it. There. Qui-Gon's voice is filled with warmth. You see, Anakin Skywalker is not dead. He's been sleeping, trapped inside Vader's armor. But he can wake up. He can choose a different path. It won't be easy. The darkness has its hooks deep in you, and Palpatine will not let you go without a fight. But it's possible. The question is, will you try? Vader opens his eyes, and for the first time in 3 years, his vision seems clearer. The Sith runes on the walls are still pulsing, but their pull feels weaker. The dark side is still there, still powerful, but it no longer has complete control over him. He thinks about what returning to the light would mean, facing the consequences of his actions, accepting that he can never undo the harm he's caused, living with the guilt of what he's done for the rest of his life, however long that might be. But he also thinks about the alternative, continuing as Vader, Palpatine's attack dog, spreading tyranny and fear across the galaxy, killing more innocents, destroying more lives, becoming so consumed by the dark side that eventually even this moment of clarity will be impossible. He'll become nothing but a weapon, a tool, with no humanity left at all. And that thought terrifies him more than anything. The decision crystallizes in his mind. He cannot undo what he's done, cannot bring back those he's killed or heal the wounds he's inflicted on the galaxy. But he can stop. He can refuse to be Palpatine's weapon any longer. He can turn back to the light, even if redemption is impossible, even if he doesn't deserve to be saved. At least he can stop making things worse. At least he can try to be something other than a monster. I'll do it. The words come out firm and clear. I'll turn back to the light. I'll fight against the Empire, against Palpatine, even if it kills me. Even if I can never truly make amends, I'll try. Qui-Gon's smile is radiant. That's all anyone can ask. Anakin, the will to try, the courage to change. Hold on to that spark of light you found. Nurture it. Let it grow. And when the darkness threatens to overwhelm you, remember this moment. Remember that you chose to be better. The Force ghost begins to fade, his form becoming more translucent. Wait. Vader reaches out. How do I find you again? I don't know if I can do this alone. You're not alone, Anakin. The Force is with you. Always. And there are others still out there. Jedi who survived. Rebels who fight against the Empire. Seek them out. Let them help you. And remember, I will be watching. When you need guidance, reach out through the Force. I will answer if I can. Then Qui-Gon is gone. And Vader is alone in the meditation chamber. But he feels different. The spark of light within him is still there, fragile, but growing stronger. He reaches down and picks up the Japer snippet, holding it carefully in his palm. This small wooden pendant represents everything he's lost and everything he's fighting to reclaim. He tucks it carefully into a compartment in his armor, close to what's left of his heart. But even as hope blooms within him, reality crashes down. Palpatine. The Emperor is always watching, always probing at his mind through their connection. Even now, Vader can feel the tendrils of the dark side reaching for him. The Emperor's influence trying to pull him back. Palpatine will sense the change in him eventually, if he hasn't already. And when he does, the Emperor will move to eliminate this threat or bind Vader even more tightly to the dark side. There's no time to waste. Vader strides out of the meditation chamber with new purpose. The construction droids continue their work, oblivious to the transformation that's taken place. He makes his way to the landing platform where his shuttle waits. But before he reaches it, Commander Trevlin approaches with a squad of stormtroopers. Lord Vader. The officer's voice is nervous. We've received a transmission from Coruscant. The Emperor requests your immediate presence. He wishes to discuss the facility's progress and your next assignment. Of course he does. Palpatine must have sensed something through the Force. Some disturbance in their bond. The Emperor is cunning and paranoid, always watching for signs of betrayal. If Vader goes to Coruscant now, he'll walk right into a trap. Palpatine will probe his mind, sense the change in him, and either kill him or use the dark side to enslave him completely. That cannot happen. Not now. Not when he's finally found the strength to break free. Tell the Emperor, I am still needed here. There have been complications with the construction that require my personal attention. I will report to Coruscant when they are resolved. Vader keeps his voice level, but he can sense Commander Trevlin's fear spiking. The officer knows that contradicting the Emperor's orders is dangerous, but he's even more afraid of Vader right now. But my lord, the Emperor was quite insistent. He said it was urgent and that you were to come immediately. The officer's voice trembles slightly. He specifically ordered that there were to be no delays. Vader's hand moves toward his lightsaber, and the gesture is not lost on the stormtroopers who tense and adjust their grip on their blasters. Then the Emperor will have to wait. I do not answer to anyone's schedule but my own. Do I make myself clear, Commander? The officer goes pale and nods quickly. "Yes, Lord Vader. As you command, I will relay your response to Coruscant." He retreats hastily with his squad, and Vader knows he has minutes at best before that message reaches the Emperor. Palpatine will see through the excuse immediately. He'll know something is wrong, and when he does, he'll send everything he has to either capture or kill his former apprentice. Vader boards his shuttle and moves quickly to the cockpit. His hands fly across the controls with practiced efficiency as he powers up the engines and initiates the launch sequence. Through the viewport, he can already see stormtroopers rushing toward the landing platform, blasters raised. Red alarm lights flash throughout the facility as someone realizes what's happening. The shuttle's engines roar to life, and he pulls back on the controls. The craft lurches into the air, just as blaster fire erupts from below. The crimson bolts ping harmlessly off the shuttle's shields as Vader pilots it away from the facility. But this is just the beginning. Through the Force, he can sense more threats incoming. The facility has a small garrison of TIE fighters, and they're already scrambling to intercept him. He banks hard to the left, weaving through the volcanic pillars that jut from Mustafar's tortured surface. Behind him, 4 TIE fighters emerge from the facility's hangar bay, their twin ion engines screaming as they accelerate in pursuit. Green laser fire streaks past the shuttle's viewport, close enough that Vader can feel the heat through the reinforced transparasteel. He throws the shuttle into a steep dive, dropping toward a river of lava that snakes through the volcanic landscape. The TIE fighters follow, their pilots skilled and aggressive. More laser fire fills the air around him, and his shields flare as one bolt finds its mark. Warning lights flash on his console, but the shields hold. Vader reaches out with the Force, not with the hatred and rage he's used for 3 years, but with the calm focus he remembers from his time as a Jedi. The sensation is strange and difficult. The light side responds to him, but reluctantly. It's like greeting an old friend after betraying them. There's recognition, but also wariness. He has to prove himself worthy of using this power again. But slowly, the Force flows through him, and he touches the mind of the lead TIE pilot. The pilot's concentration wavers for just a fraction of a second, but that's all Vader needs. He pulls up hard, and the TIE fighter doesn't react in time. It slams into a volcanic outcropping, exploding in a brilliant fireball that lights up the sulfurous sky. The other 3 pilots break formation, circling to come at him from different angles. They're more cautious now, more careful, but they're still coming. Vader banks right, then left, using the treacherous terrain to his advantage. He's flown these skies before, knows every dangerous current and unstable formation. The TIE fighters are faster and more maneuverable than his shuttle, but he has experience and the Force on his side. He leads them through a narrow canyon, the walls pressing close on either side. One of the TIE fighters misjudges the turn and clips its solar panel on the rock. The fighter spins out of control and crashes into the canyon wall. 2 left. But as Vader emerges from the canyon, he realizes his mistake. A 5th TIE fighter was waiting, positioned perfectly for an ambush. It opens fire at point-blank range, and this time the shuttle's shields aren't enough. The port engine explodes, and the whole craft shudders violently. Alarms wail as power systems fail across the board. Vader fights for control, but the shuttle is dying. He pushes the damaged craft towards space, every second counting. The remaining TIE fighters press their advantage, their laser fire relentless. Another hit rocks the shuttle, and this time the starboard engine sputters and dies. He's running on backup power now, barely enough to maintain life support and minimal thrust. But he's almost through the atmosphere, just a little further. Then something changes. Vader senses a new presence, powerful and familiar. Through the Force, he feels Palpatine's attention focus on him like a burning spotlight. The Emperor knows, not just that Vader is fleeing, but why. Palpatine can sense the change in him, the shift toward the light. And the Emperor is furious. The dark side presence that's been a constant companion for 3 years suddenly becomes hostile, trying to force its way into Vader's mind and crush this rebellion before it can truly begin. Vader gasps inside his helmet as pain lances through his skull. Palpatine is trying to dominate him through the Force, using their bond as master and apprentice to force him back into submission. The dark side energy crashes over him like a wave, bringing with it visions of power and promises of strength. Give in, Vader. You cannot resist me. You are mine. You will always be mine. Return to Coruscant and accept your place at my side. No. Vader grits his teeth against the mental assault. He's not strong enough to completely resist Palpatine, not yet. But he doesn't have to win this battle. He just has to survive long enough to escape. He reaches for the light side, that fragile spark within him, and uses it as a shield. The Emperor's attack falters, just for a moment. It's like Palpatine has struck something he didn't expect, something that confuses and disrupts his assault. The moment of respite is all Vader needs. His shuttle breaks free of Mustafar's atmosphere, limping into space on failing systems. But as he does, his sensors scream a new warning. A Star Destroyer has dropped out of hyperspace directly ahead, its massive bulk blocking his escape route. Of course, Palpatine always has contingencies in place, multiple layers of security to prevent exactly this kind of betrayal. The massive vessel's hangar bay glows with activity as more TIE fighters pour out like angry insects. Vader's mind races, calculating odds and options. He can't fight a Star Destroyer in a damaged shuttle. Even with the Force, even with all his skill and power, the odds are insurmountable. He needs another way. His eyes scan the sensor readouts desperately, looking for anything he can use to survive. There, on the edge of the system, a debris field from some ancient battle. Chunks of destroyed ships, some as large as his shuttle, drift in orbit around Mustafar. It's not much, but it might provide enough cover to mask his escape. He angles the dying shuttle toward the debris field, pushing what's left of his engines to their absolute limit. The TIE fighters from the Star Destroyer converge on him, more than a dozen of them now, and behind them, the Star Destroyer's massive turbolasers begin to track his movement. The first volley of green energy bolts cuts through space, each one larger than the shuttle itself. They're not trying to capture him anymore. Palpatine has given the order to destroy. One turbolaser bolt grazes the shuttle's shields, and what's left of them collapses completely. Alarms wail as the hull begins to breach. Vader seals his armor's environmental systems, preparing for vacuum. Another bolt passes so close that the heat warps the shuttle's hull plating. He's not going to make it. The debris field is still 1,000 kilometers away. and he'll be blown apart long before he reaches it. Unless Vader reaches deep into the Force, deeper than he has in years. He touches both the light and the dark, drawing on reserves of power he didn't know he still possessed. The Force responds, flowing through him with intensity that makes his cybernetics spark and his remaining organic tissue burn. He reaches out toward the debris field and pulls, not just moving a few small objects, but grasping dozens of large ship fragments and hurling them toward the Star Destroyer. The massive chunks of durasteel and transparasteel, some weighing hundreds of tons, accelerate toward the Imperial vessel like missiles. The Star Destroyer's point defense systems open fire, destroying some of the debris. But there's too much, coming too fast. Several large pieces slam into the ship's hull. Not enough to destroy it, but enough to force it to cease fire and focus on defense. The TIE fighters scatter as debris fills the space between Vader and his pursuers. He uses the chaos to dive into the debris field itself, the damaged shuttle barely responding to his controls. He weaves between destroyed ships and broken hull sections, using the Force to predict collisions and avoid impact. Behind him, the TIE fighters follow, but more cautiously now. Their pilots aren't willing to risk the same reckless flying in such a dangerous environment. But the Star Destroyer isn't giving up. It continues to fire, and several pieces of debris explode as turbolaser bolts find them. The resulting shrapnel spreads in all directions, a deadly cloud of metal fragments. A large piece of shrapnel tears through the shuttle's port side, ripping a massive gash in the hull. The craft spins wildly, completely out of control now. Vader is thrown against his restraints hard enough to crack the armor plating on his chest. More alarms shriek as the shuttle begins to break apart. He has seconds to act. His hand flies to the hyperdrive controls, but the damage is too severe. The system is completely offline. He cannot escape into hyperspace. Desperation fills him, but with it comes clarity. He cannot outrun them, cannot outfight them, but perhaps he can do something else. Vader channels the Force into the shuttle's failing engines, using his power to hold the damaged components together through sheer will. It's a technique he learned years ago as Anakin Skywalker, something he used during the Clone Wars when his fighter was damaged. The memory comes with a flash of pain, remembering who he used to be, but he embraces it now rather than pushing it away. The shuttle's engines flicker back to life, held together by nothing but the Force and Vader's determination. He guides the dying craft through the last section of the debris field, each movement carefully calculated to avoid obstacles while maintaining enough speed to stay ahead of his pursuers. The TIE fighters are closing in again, sensing that their prey is nearly finished. But Vader has one more trick. He spots a derelict cruiser, half destroyed but with its reactor still intact, floating near the edge of the debris field. Perfect. Vader guides his shuttle directly toward it, and the TIE fighters follow eagerly, thinking they have him cornered. At the last possible second, he pulls up hard, the shuttle scraping against the cruiser's hull. Behind him, the TIE fighters aren't as fortunate. Two of them slam into the derelict ship, their impacts triggering a chain reaction in the unstable reactor. The cruiser explodes with the force of a small sun, the blast wave catching 3 more TIE fighters and vaporizing them instantly. Vader's shuttle is caught at the very edge of the explosion, and the force of it sends him tumbling through space. But it also provides exactly what he needs. The electromagnetic pulse from the reactor overload disrupts sensors throughout the area, creating a brief window of opportunity. He coaxes the last bit of power from his dying shuttle and engages the hyperdrive. For a terrifying moment, nothing happens. The engines are too damaged, the systems too far gone. But then, with a lurch that feels like it might tear the shuttle apart, the stars stretch into lines, and the shuttle jumps to hyperspace. He's done it. He's escaped. But as the adrenaline fades and his hands stop shaking on the controls, reality sets in. He's just declared war on the most powerful man in the galaxy. Palpatine will not rest until he's been hunted down and destroyed. And with the resources of the entire Empire at his disposal, the Emperor will find him eventually. The shuttle shudders and groans as it hurtles through hyperspace, warning lights flashing across every system. Vader runs a damage assessment, and it's worse than he feared. Life support is failing. The hyperdrive will burn out in less than an hour, and without shields or weapons, he'll be helpless when he drops back into real space. He needs help, and he needs it soon. But who can he turn to? He spent 3 years hunting Jedi, and any who survived won't trust him. The rebels see him as their greatest enemy. He has no allies, no resources, nothing but the damaged shuttle and his determination to change. But perhaps not nothing. Vader closes his eyes and reaches out through the Force, searching. He's looking for something specific, someone specific. There are others out there, survivors of Order 66, Jedi who escaped Palpatine's purge. He's hunted some of them himself in the past, a thought that fills him with shame. But perhaps some are still alive. Perhaps some might listen if they sense that he's changed. It's a desperate hope, but it's all he has. His search through the Force is met with silence at first. The surviving Jedi are hidden, their presence suppressed to avoid detection. They've learned to be invisible in the Force, to hide from hunters like him. But Vader persists, reaching out with the light side rather than the dark. And slowly, carefully, he begins to sense faint presences scattered across the galaxy. Most are too far away or too well hidden to identify clearly. But then, finally, he feels something that makes his heart stop. A familiar presence, one he never thought he'd sense again. It's distant and carefully shielded, but unmistakable once he focuses on it. Ahsoka, his former Padawan, is alive. The realization fills him with a complex tangle of emotions. Relief that she survived Order 66 and the purge that followed. Shame at what he's become and what he's done. Fear of what she'll do when she sees him. But also hope. If anyone might listen to him, might believe that some part of Anakin Skywalker still exists, it would be her. He reaches out gently through the Force, trying to touch her presence without frightening her away. For a moment, there's no response. Then he feels her awareness snap to attention, sensing that someone is searching for her. She immediately begins to hide, suppressing her Force presence even more. She thinks it's another Inquisitor hunting her, another of Palpatine's dark side servants sent to finish what Order 66 started. Vader has to show her it's different this time. He opens himself through the Force, not hiding what he is, but also showing the change within him. The light side spark that Qui-Gon helped him find. The determination to turn away from the dark. It's risky, making himself vulnerable like this. But he has to take the chance. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then he feels Ahsoka's shock and confusion as she recognizes who's reaching out to her. Skywalker? No, you're dead. Anakin died on Mustafar. Her thoughts come through their Force connection, filled with pain and denial. He wants to respond, to explain, but the effort of maintaining the connection while keeping his dying shuttle together is too much. Instead, he sends her his location, or at least where he'll be when the hyperdrive fails. And he sends one simple message: please, help. Then the connection breaks as the shuttle drops out of hyperspace. The hyperdrive finally giving up completely. Vader finds himself in an unfamiliar system, nowhere he recognizes. The shuttle's emergency systems kick in, giving him just enough power to stabilize his position. But he's stranded now, drifting in space with no way to call for help and no way to defend himself if the Empire finds him. He can only wait and hope that Ahsoka received his message. Hope that she'll come despite everything he's done. Hope that she'll give him a chance to prove he's changed. Hours pass in the silent shuttle. Vader sits in the darkness of the cockpit, his respirator the only sound. He uses the time to meditate, reaching for that spark of light within himself and nurturing it. The process is painful, forcing him to confront memories and emotions he's tried to bury for 3 years. But he persists, knowing that if he's truly going to change, he cannot run from his past. He has to face it, accept it, and commit to being better. He thinks about his mother, Shmi Skywalker, and the last time he saw her, she was dying, tortured by Tusken Raiders, and the rage he felt was overwhelming. He slaughtered them all, not just the warriors, but the women and children too. And afterward, he told Padme what he'd done. I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead, every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women and the children too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them. That was the first step toward the dark side. The first time he truly gave in to his hatred and let it control his actions. His mother would be ashamed of what he became. He realizes now. She raised him to be kind and compassionate, to help others despite their own difficult circumstances. She taught him that being strong meant protecting those weaker than himself. And he took those lessons and twisted them into something dark and terrible. He thinks about Padme and their relationship. He loved her, truly and deeply. But his love was possessive and fearful. He was so afraid of losing her that he couldn't let her breathe, couldn't trust her to make her own choices. When she came to Mustafar and questioned his actions, he immediately assumed betrayal rather than considering that her concerns might be legitimate. His fear of loss became a self-fulfilling prophecy as his actions drove away the very person he was trying to save. And Obi-Wan, his master, mentor, friend, and brother. Obi-Wan tried so hard to guide him, to help him navigate the complexities of being a Jedi while dealing with his unique circumstances. But Vader, as Anakin, was too proud and too impatient to truly listen. He saw Obi-Wan's caution as holding him back rather than trying to protect him. And when Palpatine whispered that the Jedi were jealous of his power, that they were preventing him from reaching his true potential, he believed it. He turned against the one person who had always stood by him. The weight of his failures threatens to crush him. But Vader forces himself to keep going. Qui-Gon said that understanding and accepting his mistakes was the first step toward redemption. So he catalogues every atrocity, every life he's taken, every cruel order he's carried out. The list is long and horrifying, but he doesn't flinch from it. This is what he is. This is what he's done. And he will carry this burden for the rest of his life, however long that might be. His meditation is interrupted by the shuttle's sensors detecting an approaching ship. Vader's hand goes to his lightsaber, wondering if the Empire has found him already. But no, the ship is too small to be Imperial. It's a freighter of some kind, old and heavily modified. As it comes closer, Vader senses a familiar presence aboard. Ahsoka. She came. Despite everything, despite all the reasons she has to hate him, she came. The freighter docks with his shuttle, and Vader moves to the airlock. When it cycles open, he finds himself face to face with his former Padawan. She stands in the docking tube, her twin white lightsabers held in a defensive position, but not ignited. She's older now, her features matured, and her bearing more confident. But her eyes, those blue and white eyes, still carry that fierce determination he remembers from their time together. For a long moment, they simply stare at each other, neither speaking. Vader can sense the war of emotions within her through the Force. Shock, confusion, anger, grief, and beneath it all, a faint hope that she's trying to suppress. He removes his helmet slowly, wanting her to see what's left of his face. The clasps hiss as they release, and he lifts the mask away. The unfiltered air hits his scarred face, painful without the respirator. Each breath is a struggle, his damaged lungs unable to process oxygen properly without mechanical assistance. But he needs her to see him, not Vader, but what's left of Anakin. Ahsoka's lightsabers lower slightly, her eyes widening as she takes in the extent of his injuries. The burned, twisted flesh that covers what remains of his face. The cybernetic implants that keep him alive. Visible where the skin has been burned away. The yellow tint that's been fading from his eyes, replaced by a dim blue. Master Skywalker. Her voice is barely a whisper, filled with pain. What happened to you? Vader wants to give her a simple answer, but there isn't one. What happened to him is years of poor choices, manipulation, fear, and ultimately, a complete fall to the dark side. I became what the Council always feared I would. A monster. Everything Obi-Wan tried to prevent. Everything you believed I was better than. I became exactly what Palpatine wanted me to be. And I destroyed everything I ever cared about in the process. Ahsoka steps closer, her weapons lowering further. I heard reports after Order 66. They said Vader killed the younglings in the temple, that he hunted down the Jedi. I didn't want to believe it was you, but I knew. I could feel it through the Force. Anakin Skywalker, my master, had become Darth Vader. It's all true. Every report, every rumor. I did those things, and worse. There's no excuse for what I've done, no justification. I betrayed everything the Jedi stood for. I betrayed you. Then why did you call me here? Her hand tightens on her lightsabers. Why reach out now? If you've truly become a monster, why not just die in that shuttle? Why drag me into whatever this is? Because on Mustafar, where it all ended, I remembered who I was, what I was fighting for, before Palpatine corrupted me. I can't undo what I've done, can never make it right. But I can stop. I can turn back to the light and fight against the Empire instead of for it. And I need your help to do that. Ahsoka stares at him for a long moment, and Vader can sense her wrestling with conflicting impulses. Part of her wants to strike him down right here to end the monster he's become. But another part, the part that remembers Anakin Skywalker as her teacher and friend, hesitates. You want me to trust you? After everything you've done? After you murdered our family? The Jedi were our family, Sky Guy. And you killed them. How can I possibly trust anything you say? Vader has no answer that will satisfy her. He knows that. But he has to try. You can't trust me. I know that. But you can trust the Force. Reach out, Ahsoka. Sense what's inside me. The darkness is still there. I won't pretend otherwise. But there's something else now, too. Something I thought was dead, but has started to grow again. If you sense deception, if you think this is a trap or another manipulation, then strike me down. I won't defend myself. Maybe that's what I deserve anyway. Ahsoka closes her eyes and reaches out through the Force. Vader opens himself to her scrutiny, hiding nothing. She can see the darkness that still permeates his being. 3 years of accumulated atrocities, leaving their mark on his spirit. But she can also see the light, that fragile spark that Qui-Gon helped him find. It's small and weak, overshadowed by the dark, but it's real and growing. And more importantly, she can sense his determination to nurture it, his commitment to change after what feels like an eternity. Ahsoka opens her eyes. Tears stream down her face as she deactivates her lightsabers and clips them to her belt. I should kill you. You know that, right? For what you've done, for all the lives you've taken, I should end you right here. Vader nods slowly. Yes, I know. Then why don't I? She looks away, and Vader can hear the pain in her voice. Because I'm a fool who still sees my master when I looks at you. Because part of me wants to believe you can still be saved. Because the galaxy needs people fighting against the Empire. And you know Palpatine better than anyone. Thank you. Snips. The old nickname slips out before he can stop it, and Ahsoka flinches at the sound. Don't call me that. Not yet. You lost the right to call me that when you fell. Maybe someday. If you prove you really have changed, you can earn it back. But not today. Fair enough. Now, we need to move. My shuttle is dead, and Palpatine will be hunting me with everything he has. If we stay here much longer, we'll be found. Ahsoka nods and gestures back toward her freighter. Come on. We'll scuttle your shuttle and make the jump to somewhere safe. I know, a place where we can hide while we figure out what to do next. They board her ship, and Vader takes one last look at the damaged shuttle before Ahsoka destroys it with her ship's weapons. Watching it explode feels symbolic somehow, destroying the last remnant of his immediate past. No, going back now. They're committed to this path, wherever it might lead. As they jump to hyperspace, Ahsoka leads Vader to the ship's small medical bay. You can't keep looking like that. She gestures at his armor. The second any Imperial agent or bounty hunter sees you, they'll report it to Palpatine. And your suit, I've heard about it. It's designed to keep you in constant pain, to fuel your connection to the dark side. If you really want to return to the light, you're going to need to change it. I know. but I don't have the resources for that kind of modification. This suit is the only thing keeping me alive right now. The life support systems are fully integrated into my body. One wrong change and I'm dead. Then it's a good thing you found me. Ahsoka pulls up a star map on the medical bay's terminal. I've been working with a small group of people on Rada, a farming world in the Outer Rim. It's remote enough that the Empire mostly ignores it, and we've been building a small resistance cell there. One of our members, Kaden, is an expert mechanic and engineer. If anyone can modify your suit safely, it's him. Vader studies the map, memorizing the location. How long until we arrive? About 6 hours. You should rest while you can. The modifications are going to be painful, and you'll need your strength. She hesitates, then adds, "And Anakin, I can't promise everyone there will be as willing to trust you as I am. You're going to face a lot of hostility. A lot of people have lost everything because of the Empire. Because of you. I understand. I don't expect forgiveness or acceptance. I just want a chance to fight back against Palpatine, to try to undo some of the damage I've helped cause." Ahsoka nods and leaves him alone in the medical bay. Vader sits on the examination table, his respirator filling the small room with its rhythmic breathing. 6 hours until they reach Rada. 6 hours to prepare himself for whatever comes next. He closes his eyes and returns to his meditation, reaching for the light side and trying to strengthen his connection to it. The Force responds more easily now, perhaps because of Ahsoka's presence nearby. She's strong in the light, her connection pure and uncorrupted. Being near her makes it easier for Vader to touch that power himself, like she's showing him the way back. He focuses on that feeling, on the peace and clarity that the light side brings. It's so different from the dark, which offers power, but at the cost of constant turmoil and pain. The light doesn't promise to make him stronger or more feared, but it does offer something he's been missing for 3 years. Hope. They drop out of hyperspace at the edge of the Rada system, and Ahsoka guides them toward the planet's surface. It's a small world, mostly agricultural, with scattered farming communities connected by dirt roads, the perfect place to hide from the Empire's notice. As they descend toward a small settlement on the edge of a vast grain field, Vader senses other presences, not Force-sensitive, but watching and waiting, with weapons ready. Ahsoka's allies, prepared to defend against any threat. The ship lands in a clearing near the settlement, and Ahsoka leads Vader down the ramp. A group of people waits for them, maybe a dozen in total. Humans and aliens, all armed and clearly nervous. At the front stands a Togruta male, his features similar to Ahsoka's species but older and more weathered. This must be Kadan. His eyes widen as he takes in Vader's appearance, recognition and horror crossing his face. "You brought Darth Vader here. Ahsoka, have you lost your mind? Do you know what he'll do to us? What the Empire will do to us when they find out we sheltered him? I know exactly who he is, Kadan, and I know what I'm asking. But he's turned against Palpatine. He's trying to return to the light, and he needs our help to do it." The Togruta stares at her like she's speaking a foreign language. "You expect me to believe that?" Darth Vader, the Emperor's enforcer, the monster who's been hunting Jedi and crushing rebellions, suddenly wants to be good again. It's a trick. It has to be. Ahsoka looks at Vader, and he understands what she's asking. He needs to prove himself. Slowly, carefully, Vader removes his helmet again. The group gasps as they see his ruined face, but he ignores their reactions. He focuses on Kadan and speaks, his voice raw without the vocabulator. I don't expect you to trust me. I don't deserve your trust. But I swear, on everything I once held sacred, I have turned against Palpatine. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know that's impossible. But I am asking for help. Help to change this suit so it no longer binds me to the dark side. Help to fight against the Empire. And if you give me that help, I promise I will use it to make amends for what I've done. Kadan studies him for a long moment, then looks at the others. They're all frightened, but they're also desperate. The Empire has taken so much from them already. If there's even a chance that Vader has truly changed, that his knowledge and power could be used against Palpatine instead of for him, it might be worth the risk. Finally, the Togruta sighs and nods. Fine. But if this is a trick, if you betray us, I will personally make sure you regret it. Understood. Understood. Vader replaces his helmet and follows Kadan into the settlement. They walk through simple buildings constructed from local materials, past fields where people work to harvest crops. Everyone stops to stare as they pass, fear and curiosity mixing in their expressions. Kadan leads them to a workshop at the edge of the settlement, a large building filled with tools and equipment. All right, let's see what we're working with. Kadan gestures for Vader to sit on a medical table in the corner of the workshop. Ahsoka, help me get his armor off. We need to see how it's integrated into his body before we can plan any modifications. The process is painful and humiliating. As they remove pieces of his armor, exposing the full extent of his injuries, the burned flesh that covers most of his body, the cybernetic limbs that replaced what was lost on Mustafar, the neural interfaces that connect his brain to the suit systems. Kadan's expression grows more somber as he works, clearly shocked by what he's seeing. This is worse than I thought. Your entire cardiovascular and respiratory systems are artificial. Your skin can't regulate temperature properly. The neural interfaces are causing constant feedback that must be agonizing. And look at this. The pain receptors have been enhanced rather than dulled. Whoever designed this suit wanted you to suffer. Palpatine. Vader's voice is quiet. He built it to keep me in pain, to fuel my connection to the dark side. The angrier and more hateful I became, the more powerful I was. It was always about control. Well, we're going to change that. But I need to be honest with you. This is going to take time. Days, maybe weeks. We'll need to fabricate new components, reconfigure the life support systems, and reprogram the neural interfaces. And every change we make could potentially kill you if we're not careful. The risk is significant. I understand. How soon can we begin? Immediately, if you're ready. But Vader, this is going to hurt. Probably more than anything you've experienced since Mustafar. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. The pain will be worth it if it means breaking free from Palpatine's control. Let's begin. Over the following days, Vader endures agony that makes his burning on Mustafar seem mild by comparison. Kadan and his team work with careful precision, removing and replacing components of the suit piece by piece. The modifications to the life support systems require them to basically rebuild his artificial cardiovascular system. Each adjustment sends waves of pain through his body as his nervous system struggles to adapt. But worse than the physical pain is the withdrawal from the dark side. The suit was designed to keep him in constant agony, and he spent 3 years using that pain to fuel his connection to dark side power. As the pain lessens with each modification, he feels his automatic connection to the dark side weakening. It's like losing a limb, suddenly finding himself weaker and more vulnerable than before. The dark side calls to him, promising strength and power if he'll just embrace it again. The temptation is overwhelming at times. Through it all, Vader focuses on the light side of the Force. He meditates constantly, even during the most painful procedures, reaching for that spark within himself and nurturing it. Qui-Gon's voice returns during his meditations, guiding him through techniques to manage the pain without turning to hatred. Focus on your breathing. Let the pain wash over you without letting it control you. Remember that this suffering has purpose. You're not being tortured now. You're being freed. Ahsoka visits him during his recovery, sitting with him during the long hours between procedures. At first, their conversations are tense and awkward. There's too much history between them, too much pain. But gradually, walls begin to come down. She tells him about Order 66, about watching Captain Rex and the other clones turn on her, about going into hiding and watching the Republic she fought to protect transform into an empire, about the small acts of rebellion she's been engaged in, trying to make a difference while staying hidden from Palpatine's hunters. Vader listens without offering excuses or justifications. He simply accepts the weight of what he's done and the role he's played in creating this nightmare. And slowly, Ahsoka begins to see glimpses of the man he used to be beneath the monster he became. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's the beginning of something. A tentative bridge being built across 3 years of atrocity and betrayal. One night, as Vader lies recovering from another surgery, she asks the question he's been dreading. Did you know about Palpatine? That he was the Sith Lord we were hunting during the war? Vader is quiet for a long moment, then nods slowly. I suspected toward the end. And when he revealed himself, when he killed Mace Windu, I knew for certain, but I chose him anyway. I chose power over everything else, over the Jedi, over the Republic, over Padme. Why? Her voice is soft but insistent. Why would you do that? You were the chosen one. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. What could possibly make you throw everything away? Vader closes his eyes behind his mask, the memories washing over him. Fear. I was afraid of losing Padme. I had visions of her dying in childbirth, and they were so vivid, so real. I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't lose her like I lost my mother. And Palpatine, he promised me the power to save her, to prevent death itself. I was desperate and foolish enough to believe him. And how did that work out? The words are harsh, but her tone isn't cruel, just sad. She died anyway, because of me, because of my choices. The rage and fear that Palpatine encouraged, it consumed me. I became exactly what I swore to destroy. I became a monster that killed the woman I loved and destroyed everything I tried to protect. Vader opens his eyes and looks at her. I don't expect you to understand or forgive that, but I need you to know that I see it now. I see how thoroughly Palpatine manipulated me, how he exploited my attachments and my fears, and I won't let him control me anymore. Ahsoka places a hand on his shoulder, and the gesture surprises him. I can't forgive you for what you've done, Anakin. Not yet. Maybe. Not ever. But I can see that you're trying. And right now, with the galaxy the way it is, that has to be enough. The galaxy needs people who are willing to fight back against the Empire. People who know Palpatine's weaknesses and aren't afraid to exploit them. If you're really committed to this, then maybe your knowledge can help undo some of the damage you've caused. I am committed. Even if it costs me everything. Even if I don't survive. At least I'll die fighting against Palpatine instead of serving him. That has to count for something. It does. More than you might think. After 3 weeks of intensive work, the modifications are finally complete. Vader stands before a mirror in Kadan's workshop, examining his new appearance. The suit is still black, but different. Less angular and menacing. More refined. The helmet has been redesigned, incorporating elements that are almost reminiscent of Jedi armor. The chest plate is lighter, allowing for greater mobility. And most importantly, the constant pain is gone. He can breathe easier now. Think more clearly. The dark side no longer whispers constantly in his ear, demanding violence and hatred. It's still there, still part of him. Always will be after what he's done. But it's no longer in control. He feels more balanced, more like himself, more like Anakin Skywalker, and less like Darth Vader. The change is profound and frightening in its implications. Without the dark side power flowing through him constantly, is he still strong enough to face Palpatine? The doubt nags at him, but he pushes it aside. He'll find strength in the light instead. How do you feel? Ahsoka asks from behind him, studying his reflection in the mirror. Different, lighter, somehow. Like I can finally think clearly for the first time in years. The rage that was always bubbling just below the surface, it's quieter now. Still there, but manageable. Good, because we're going to need that clarity. Word has reached us through our contacts that Palpatine has placed a massive bounty on your head. Every bounty hunter and Imperial agent in the galaxy is looking for you, and he's dispatched several of his inquisitors to track you down. Then we need to move. We can't stay here much longer. We're putting these people in danger. Agreed. But we need a plan. We can't just run and hide forever. We need to actually fight back. Vader turns from the mirror to face her. I know where we need to go. Tatooine. There's someone there we need to find. Ahsoka's eyes widen. Obi-Wan, you think he's alive? I know he is. I can sense him through the Force. And if we're going to face Palpatine, we need him. He's one of the greatest Jedi Masters who ever lived. And he knows my style better than anyone. We need his help. He's also the man you tried to kill on Mustafar. The man who left you to die. What makes you think he'll help you now? Because he's Obi-Wan. Despite everything I did to him, despite how thoroughly I betrayed him, he still cared enough to spare my life when he could have finished me. If I can show him that I've changed, that I'm trying to make amends, maybe he'll give me another chance. And even if he doesn't, he deserves to know that Palpatine is vulnerable, that there's a chance to strike back. Ahsoka considers this for a moment, then nods. All right, we go to Tatooine. But Anakin, if this goes badly, if Obi-Wan decides you're too dangerous to live, I won't stop him. Understood? Understood. I wouldn't ask you to. They spend the next day preparing for the journey, gathering supplies, and saying goodbye to the people of Rada. Many of them are still frightened of Vader, but a few approach him with tentative gratitude. He helped during his recovery, using his mechanical skills to repair equipment and his force abilities to assist with heavy labor. Small acts of service that don't begin to balance his crimes, but represent his commitment to change. As they board Ahsoka's ship, Kadan approaches one final time. Vader, I don't trust you. I want to be clear about that. But I hope you prove me wrong. I hope you really have changed, and that you can use your knowledge of the Empire to hurt them, because they deserve to hurt for what they've done to people like us. I'll do everything in my power to make that happen. Thank you for taking the risk, for giving me this chance. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when Palpatine is dead and the Empire is broken. Then maybe your debt will be paid. Fair enough. Vader boards the ship, and they lift off, leaving Rada behind. As they jump to hyperspace, he can't help but feel a sense of finality. They're going to seek out Obi-Wan, and depending on how that meeting goes, they'll either gain a powerful ally, or Vader will finally face the consequences of his actions. Either way, the path ahead is set. There's no turning back now. The journey to Tatooine takes several hours, and Vader spends the time reaching out through the Force. He's searching for Obi-Wan's presence, trying to pinpoint his location. His former master is hiding his connection to the Force well, making himself nearly invisible. But Vader knows him, knows how he thinks and where he'd choose to hide. And there's something else pulling him toward Tatooine. Another presence that makes his heart race. A child. Strong in the Force. Impossibly strong. The presence is young, innocent, untrained, but bursting with potential. As Vader focuses on it, realization crashes over him like a wave. His son. It has to be. Padme gave birth before she died, and somehow the child survived. Palpatine said the baby died with her, but of course that was another lie. The Emperor lies about everything, manipulates everything. Vader's hands shake on the armrests as the implications sink in. He has a son. Somewhere on Tatooine, his child is alive and growing up. The thought fills him with joy and terror in equal measure. Part of him wants to go to the child immediately, to reveal himself and reclaim what he thought was lost. But he knows that's impossible. He's a monster in the eyes of the galaxy, a mass murderer and tyrant. What right does he have to disrupt his son's life? What right does he have to claim fatherhood after everything he's done? No, he has to resist the temptation. He has to stay away and let the boy grow up safe and innocent, at least until he's dealt with Palpatine, until he's proven that he's more than just a monster wearing Anakin Skywalker's face. Ahsoka joins him in the cockpit as they approach Tatooine. You sense something. What is it? Vader hesitates, then decides she deserves the truth. A child, Force-sensitive, incredibly powerful. I think it's my son. Padme must have given birth before she died. Palpatine lied to me about that, just like he lied about everything else. Her eyes widen in shock. You have a son? Where? Who's taking care of him? I don't know the details, but he's on Tatooine, and Obi-Wan is nearby. I don't think that's a coincidence. Obi-Wan must be watching over him, protecting him. That would be exactly like him, taking care of my son, even after everything I did. Are you going to see him? The child, I mean. No, not yet. Maybe not. Ever. I don't have the right to disrupt his life. Not after what I've done. And if Palpatine discovers he exists, the Emperor will either try to kill him or corrupt him. The best thing I can do for my son is stay away and make sure Palpatine never learns about him. Then we deal with Palpatine first. We gather our allies, make our plan, and we take down the Emperor. Then maybe you can have a relationship with your son when you've earned the right, maybe. Though I'm not sure I'll ever earn that right. Vader leans back in his seat, his respirator filling the silence. But at least I can try to make the galaxy safer for him. That's something. They drop out of hyperspace above Tatooine, and the sight of the desert planet fills Vader with complex emotions. This is where it all began, where a slave boy with dreams of freedom met a Jedi master and began a journey that would reshape the galaxy, where Anakin Skywalker took his first steps toward becoming a hero, and where, ultimately, those same steps led him toward becoming a monster. Ahsoka pilots them toward the surface, avoiding the main spaceports. They don't want to attract attention, especially not with Imperial presence on the planet. She lands the ship in a remote area of the Dune Sea, far from any settlements. The twin suns beat down mercilessly as they disembark, and Vader feels the heat even through his modified suit. He hates this planet, hates everything it represents. But it's also the key to everything. His past, his son, and hopefully his redemption. As they walk across the sand, Vader reaches out with the Force. He can feel his son more clearly now, the boy's presence like a beacon in the Force. He's strong, so strong. Vader remembers his own childhood, the way the Force flowed through him, even when he didn't understand what it was. His son has that same gift, maybe even stronger. The thought terrifies him. With that much power, if Palpatine ever discovered him, the Emperor would stop at nothing to either kill or corrupt the boy. But there's another presence too. Obi-Wan. His former master is close. His Force signature deliberately muted but impossible to hide completely from someone who knows him so well. Vader turns toward the direction of the presence and starts walking. Ahsoka follows, her hand resting on one of her lightsabers. They walk for nearly an hour, the suns climbing higher in the sky. Finally, they crest a dune and see a small dwelling in the distance. It's humble, barely more than a cave carved into the rock with a simple door. But Vader knows this place. He can feel Obi-Wan inside, meditating. Before they can approach, a figure emerges from the dwelling. Obi-Wan Kenobi looks older than Vader remembers. His hair and beard have gone gray, and his face is weathered by years of harsh desert life. He wears simple robes, faded and patched. But his eyes are still sharp, and his hand moves to his lightsaber as he sees them approaching. He recognizes Ahsoka first, and confusion crosses his face. Then he sees Vader, and his expression hardens into something cold and guarded. They stand facing each other across 20 meters of sand, master and apprentice, separated by years and atrocities. For a long moment, no one speaks. The wind howls across the dunes, carrying grains of sand that sting exposed skin. Finally, Obi-Wan breaks the silence, his voice heavy with emotion. "I thought you were dead. The Anakin I knew, at least. I watched him burn on Mustafar. I left him to die because I couldn't bear to finish it. And I've regretted that choice every day since. Vader removes his helmet, wanting Obi-Wan to see his face. The unfiltered air burns his lungs, but he forces himself to breathe through the pain. You did what you had to do, Master. What I forced you to do. Everything that happened on Mustafar was my fault, not yours. I chose power over wisdom, the dark side over the light. I became exactly what you tried to prevent. Obi-Wan's composure cracks and tears stream down his weathered face. I failed you, Anakin. I failed you as a master and as a brother. I should have seen what Palpatine was doing to you, should have recognized the manipulation and the corruption. But I was so caught up in the war, in the politics of the Order, that I didn't notice until it was too late. And when I finally did see, I tried to stop you instead of save you. We both failed. Vader's voice is raw with emotion. The Jedi failed. The Republic failed. I failed. But Master, it doesn't have to end this way. I've turned back to the light. I've left Palpatine and the Empire. And I'm going to stop him. I'm going to end the tyranny we helped create. But I need your help to do it. Obi-Wan shakes his head slowly, his hand still on his lightsaber. Even if I wanted to believe you, and part of me desperately does, it's impossible. Palpatine commands the entire Imperial military. Thousands of Star Destroyers, millions of stormtroopers, Inquisitors, and dark side agents. What can 3 people possibly do against that kind of power? We'd be throwing our lives away for nothing. Not for nothing. Vader takes a step forward, and Obi-Wan tenses, but doesn't draw his weapon. I know things about Palpatine that no one else does. His weaknesses, his contingency plans, the places where he's vulnerable. I was his apprentice for 3 years. I've seen behind the curtain, Master. He's powerful, but he's not invincible. He's arrogant and believes himself untouchable. And that arrogance is a weakness we can exploit. You're talking about starting a war. Obi-Wan's voice is pained. More people will die. Innocent people who have nothing to do with this conflict between you and your former master. People are already dying. Vader's response is firm. Every day the Empire exists, more worlds are enslaved, and more beings suffer under Palpatine's rule. I've seen it firsthand. I've been the instrument of that suffering. At least if we fight, we give people a chance at freedom, a chance to throw off their chains instead of dying in them. Ahsoka steps forward, adding her voice to the argument. He's right, Obi-Wan. I've been fighting the Empire in small ways for years now. But it's not enough. We need to strike at the heart of Palpatine's power. And having someone who knows the Emperor's secrets, who understands how he thinks, that gives us an advantage we've never had before. We can't keep hiding and hoping someone else will fix this. We have to act. Obi-Wan looks between them, and Vader can sense the conflict raging within his former master. Obi-Wan wants to believe, wants to help, but he's also terrified of what failure would mean. He's protecting someone, Vader realizes. The boy, my son. Obi-Wan is afraid that if he joins this fight and fails, there will be no one left to watch over the child. The thought fills Vader with both gratitude and shame. Even after everything, Obi-Wan is still trying to protect what's left of his family. I know about my son, Master. Vader's voice is gentle. I can sense him from here. He's strong in the Force, stronger than I was at his age. And I know you've been watching over him, protecting him. I'm grateful for that. More grateful than I can possibly express. But that's exactly why we need to stop Palpatine. Not just for the galaxy, but for him, for Luke. So he can grow up in a galaxy where he doesn't have to hide what he is or fear the Empire finding him. Obi-Wan's eyes widen in shock. You know his name? Owen and Beru told me. Through the Force, I mean. I haven't approached them. Haven't even let them sense my presence. But I've been reaching out, trying to learn what I can without endangering them. The boy is safe here, for now. But if Palpatine ever discovers he exists, nowhere will be safe. The only way to truly protect him is to destroy the Emperor. The Jedi Master closes his eyes, and Vader can sense him reaching out through the Force, searching Vader's intentions. Just as Ahsoka did, Obi-Wan examines what's inside him. The darkness is still there, impossible to hide or deny. 3 years of atrocities have left their mark, but the light is there too. That spark growing stronger every day. And most importantly, the determination to change is genuine. This isn't a trick or manipulation. Anakin Skywalker truly has turned back from the dark. After a long silence, Obi-Wan opens his eyes and releases his grip on his lightsaber. All right, Anakin, I'm with you, but I need you to understand something. If this is a trap, if you betray us to Palpatine, I won't hesitate this time. I'll finish what I started on Mustafar, regardless of the cost. Do you understand? I understand, Master, and I accept those terms. If I betray you, if I turn back to the dark, then you should end me. I don't want to be Palpatine's weapon again. I'd rather die than return to that existence. Obi-Wan nods and gestures for them to follow him into his dwelling. Inside, it's sparse and simple. A sleeping mat, some basic supplies, and a small meditation area. This is where one of the greatest Jedi Masters of his generation has been living for 3 years, in exile and isolation. The sight fills Vader with guilt, knowing he's partly responsible for this fall. They sit in a circle on the floor, and Obi-Wan pulls out a small holographic projector. I've been monitoring Imperial communications when I can, staying informed without drawing attention. What I've learned isn't encouraging. Palpatine has consolidated his power more thoroughly than I feared. The Senate is a rubber stamp for his decrees. The military answers only to him, and he's been systematically eliminating any potential threats to his rule. I know. I was often the instrument of those eliminations. Vader's voice is heavy with shame. Politicians who spoke out against imperial policies, military officers who showed too much independent thinking, even imperial governors who questioned orders. Anyone who might have organized resistance was removed, usually by me. Palpatine has been building a government where only absolute loyalty is tolerated. Then how do we fight that? Ahsoka leans forward, her expression intense. Even if we manage to kill Palpatine, which is a huge if, the Imperial military machine will continue. They'll just find another leader, another figurehead to rally behind. We need to do more than just cut off the head. We need to dismantle the entire system, which is why we need allies. Vader pulls his cloak tighter around himself. There are other survivors out there. Jedi who escaped Order 66, and the Purge. Rebels who are already fighting in small ways. Clone troopers who resisted their programming and have gone into hiding. If we can bring them together, unite them under a common cause, we can build something strong enough to challenge the Empire. That's easier said than done. Obi-Wan's voice is cautious. The surviving Jedi are scattered and hidden. They won't come out of hiding easily, especially not for someone who spent 3 years hunting them. And the rebels are disorganized, each cell operating independently with no coordination. Bringing them all together will take time and resources we may not have. Then we start small. Vader has been thinking about this during the journey to Tatooine. We reach out to the Jedi survivors one at a time. We prove that I've changed, that this isn't a trap, and we offer them something they haven't had since Order 66. Hope. Hope that Palpatine can be defeated. Hope that the Empire can be challenged. Once we have a core group, we can start coordinating with the rebel cells. And how do we prove you've changed? Ahsoka's question is practical, not accusatory. Most of the surviving Jedi will shoot first and ask questions later when they see you. We need some kind of proof that you're not still working for Palpatine. Some demonstration that can't be faked. Vader considers this, then reaches into a compartment in his armor and pulls out the Japa snippet. He holds it up for them to see. This was Padmé's. She was wearing it when she came to Mustafar, when I killed her. I found it in the ruins when I returned there, and it reminded me of who I used to be, of what I was fighting for before Palpatine corrupted me. He sets it on the floor between them, then reaches for his lightsaber. The red blade ignites, casting crimson light across the small room. This is what I became. A weapon of the dark side, used to spread fear and destruction. But it doesn't have to stay this way. He deactivates the blade and begins to disassemble the lightsaber, his hands moving with practiced precision. The Kyber crystal within is synthetic, created through Sith alchemy. It's been corrupted by the dark side, forced to bleed red. But Kyber crystals can be healed. It's difficult, requires complete commitment to the light side, and I may not be strong enough yet, but I have to try. He removes the crystal and holds it in his palm. The red gem pulses with dark side energy, and he can feel it trying to pull him back toward hatred and anger. Resisting that pull takes all his concentration. He closes his eyes and reaches for the light side of the Force, channeling it through his body and into the crystal. The process is agonizing. The corrupted Kyber fights against the healing, screaming in protest through the Force. Dark side energy flares around Vader, trying to overwhelm him and drag him back. He can hear Palpatine's voice in his mind, mocking and cruel. "You cannot escape me, Vader. You are mine, forever mine." But Vader pushes past the voice, focusing on memories of light instead of darkness. Padmé's smile, his mother's love, Obi-Wan's teachings, Ahsoka's trust. Slowly, impossibly, the crystal begins to change. The deep red color lightens, shifting through shades of crimson and pink. The dark side energy weakens, replaced by something purer. It's not a complete transformation. The crystal has been through too much darkness to return to its original state. But it changes nonetheless, the red giving way to white, a purified crystal, cleansed of corruption but bearing the scars of its past. Much like Vader himself, he opens his eyes and holds up the crystal for Obi-Wan and Ahsoka to see. The white gem glows softly in his palm, and both Jedi gasp in shock. Obi-Wan leans forward, examining it closely. "I've never seen anything like this. Purifying a synthetic crystal, especially one so deeply corrupted, should be impossible. The fact that you managed it, that speaks to the strength of your commitment. This is proof, Anakin. Proof that you truly have turned back to the light. It's a start." Vader reassembles the lightsaber, installing the purified crystal. When he ignites it, the blade burns white instead of red. The color is similar to Ahsoka's blades, symbolizing a complicated relationship with the Force. Not purely light, not purely dark, but something in between. Redeemed, but forever marked by the past. It feels right somehow. This is who he is now. Not Anakin Skywalker as he was, not Darth Vader as he became, but something new. Something trying to be better. We'll need to craft a message for the other survivors. Ahsoka is already thinking tactically. Something that shows you've changed, but also gives them a reason to meet with us. Maybe we should focus on the Inquisitors first. If we can take out some of Palpatine's hunters, it will make the surviving Jedi safer and prove that you're serious about fighting the Empire. Agreed. And I know where the Inquisitors are based. Vader's knowledge of Imperial operations is their greatest asset. There's a facility on Nur, the Inquisitorius headquarters. It's where captured Jedi are taken for interrogation and corruption. If we strike there, we can free any prisoners and eliminate several Inquisitors at once. It would be a significant blow to Palpatine's operations. That's a massive risk. Obi-Wan's voice is concerned. The Inquisitorius will be heavily defended, and the Inquisitors themselves are dangerous. They may be fallen Jedi, but they're still skilled and backed by Imperial resources. An assault on their headquarters could easily end in our deaths, but it would also prove that we're serious. Vader meets his former master's eyes. Words alone won't convince the surviving Jedi to trust me, but actions might. If we can rescue even one Jedi from the Inquisitors, if we can show that we're willing to fight Palpatine's forces directly, it will mean something. The three of them spend hours planning the assault, going over every detail of the facility's layout and defenses. Vader provides intelligence on guard rotations, security systems, and the number of Inquisitors typically stationed there. Ahsoka contributes tactical suggestions based on her experience with guerrilla operations, and Obi-Wan offers wisdom, tempering their aggression with caution and strategic thinking. By the time the twin suns begin to set, they have a plan. It's risky and relies on many things going right, but it's also their best chance to strike a meaningful blow against the Empire. Before we go, there's something I need to do. Vader stands and moves to the doorway, looking out across the desert. I need to see him, my son, not to approach him or reveal myself, but I need to see that he's safe and happy. I need to know that at least one good thing survived my fall. Obi-Wan joins him at the doorway. His name is Luke. Owen and Beru are raising him as their own, and they're good people. They love him and keep him safe. But Anakin, you should know that Owen hates me, blames me for what happened to you and Shmi. If he knew you were alive, knew what you'd become, it would devastate him, I know. Which is why I'm going to stay away. Luke deserves to grow up without the shadow of Darth Vader hanging over him. After we deal with Palpatine, maybe then I can consider reaching out. But for now, He's better off thinking his father died a hero rather than knowing he became a monster. They walk together across the dunes as the sun sinks toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. In the distance, Vader can see the Lars moisture farm, its vaporators standing like sentinels against the desert. And there, in the yard, a small figure plays. Even from this distance, even without enhancing his vision, Vader knows it's Luke. The boy is young, maybe 5 or 6 years old. He runs through the sand with the boundless energy of childhood, chasing something Vader can't see. His laughter carries faintly on the wind, and the sound pierces Vader's heart like a blade. This is Padmé's son, their son, the child they dreamed of having together, the family they wanted to build. Luke should have grown up knowing both his parents, should have been raised with love and security. Instead, his father is a monster and his mother is dead. Both because of Vader's choices. Tears would stream down his face if he had tear ducts. Instead, his respirator becomes irregular, his breathing labored with emotion rather than mechanical necessity. "I'm so sorry, Padmé. I'm sorry I failed you." Failed him. But I swear, on everything I once held sacred, I'll make things right. I'll destroy Palpatine and make the galaxy safe for our son. That's the only legacy I can leave him now. The only way I can honor what we had. He's strong in the Force. Obi-Wan's voice is soft. I've been watching him grow, and his connection to the Force is incredible. In some ways, he reminds me of you at that age. The same natural talent, the same instinctive understanding of how things work. But there's something else too, a compassion and kindness that comes from Padmé. He's the best of both of you, Anakin. Then he deserves better than me. Vader watches as Luke runs back toward the homestead, probably called in for dinner by his aunt and uncle. He deserves to grow up innocent and happy, free from the darkness that consumed his father. And that means I have to stay away. No matter how much I want to go to him, no matter how much I want to tell him I'm sorry and that I love him, I have to keep my distance. It's the only gift I can give him, maybe now. But someday, when you've proven yourself, when you've earned redemption through your actions, maybe then you can have a relationship with him. Obi-Wan places a hand on Vader's shoulder. Don't give up on that possibility, Anakin. The future isn't written yet. Maybe. But that future only comes if we stop Palpatine. So let's focus on that. Vader turns away from the moisture farm, away from his son, and starts walking back toward Obi-Wan's dwelling. Every step feels like tearing away a piece of himself, but he forces himself to keep moving. Luke is safe here. He's loved and protected, and that has to be enough. They spend the night preparing for the journey to Nur, gathering supplies and equipment. Obi-Wan has a small cache of weapons and tools hidden in his dwelling, remnants of his Jedi days. Ahsoka's ship has room for all 3 of them, though it will be cramped. As they work, they discuss their approach and strategy, refining the plan until everyone knows their role. Finally, as the twin suns begin to rise again, they're ready to depart. The journey to Nur takes nearly 2 days, and they use the time to train together. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan spar with Vader, testing his commitment to the light side and helping him relearn techniques he hasn't used since becoming Vader. It's humbling, realizing how much he's forgotten or deliberately abandoned. The elegant forms of Jedi lightsaber combat feel foreign after years of brutal, aggressive Sith fighting. But slowly, with patient instruction from his former master and former apprentice, he begins to remember. More importantly, they begin to function as a team. Vader knows Obi-Wan's style intimately from years of training together, and Obi-Wan knows his. But Ahsoka's approach is new, incorporating elements she learned from Vader combined with techniques she developed in the years since leaving the Order. The three of them learn to anticipate each other's movements, to cover weaknesses and exploit strengths. By the time they approach Nur, they're moving as a cohesive unit. The planet itself is oceanic, covered in churning seas, with only a few artificial structures breaking the surface. The Inquisitorius headquarters is built into the ocean itself, a massive fortress of dark metal that rises from the waves like a predator. As they approach, Vader can feel the dark side energy radiating from the structure. This is where Jedi are broken, where they're tortured and corrupted into becoming Inquisitors. The thought fills him with rage, but he channels it into determination rather than hatred. We'll approach from the lower levels. Vader points to a section of the fortress on their tactical display. There's a maintenance entrance here that's used for bringing in supplies. Security will be lighter there than at the main gates. Once we're inside, we move quickly to the detention level where any prisoners would be held. We free them first, then deal with the Inquisitors. And if we encounter the Grand Inquisitor, Obi-Wan's question is practical. He's the most dangerous of them all, a former Jedi Temple guard who fell to the dark side. I've heard reports that he's exceptionally skilled. Then we fight him together. Vader's voice is firm. I've faced him before as Vader, and he's powerful, but he's also arrogant and overconfident. If the three of us work together, we can defeat him. They land the ship on a small artificial platform near the fortress, disguised as a supply vessel. Ahsoka uses her skills to slice into the fortress's systems, convincing the automated defenses that they're authorized. It works, and they're able to dock without triggering any alarms. But Vader knows this won't last long. The Inquisitors are attuned to the Force, and they'll sense intruders soon enough. They move through the maintenance entrance quickly and quietly. Lightsabers ready, but not ignited. The corridors are dark and empty, lit only by dim emergency lighting. Water drips from the ceiling and pools on the floor, a reminder that they're deep beneath the ocean's surface. Vader takes the lead, his knowledge of the fortress's layout guiding them through the maze of passages. Behind him, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka stay alert, ready for any sign of danger. They reach the detention level without encountering resistance, which makes Vader nervous. It's too easy. The Inquisitors should have detected them by now. Unless this is a trap. He's about to warn the others when klaxons begin to wail throughout the fortress. Red lights flash as security doors slam shut, sealing off the corridor behind them. Of course, they were expected. Palpatine must have known he would come here eventually. It's a trap. Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber, the blue blade casting light across the corridor. We need to move quickly before they can fully mobilize. Agreed. Vader activates his white blade and moves forward. The detention cells are just ahead. We free the prisoners first, then fight our way out. They rush forward, cutting through the security doors with their lightsabers. Beyond is a large chamber lined with cells, each containing a prisoner in various states of distress. Some are Jedi, their presences in the Force dim and wounded. Others are rebels or political prisoners. All of them look up in shock as 3 Jedi burst into the room. Vader moves from cell to cell, using the Force to override the locking mechanisms. The prisoners stumble out, confused and frightened. Some recognize him and recoil in terror. "I'm not here to hurt you." His voice is firm but not unkind. "I'm here to rescue you. We're all getting out of here together, but we have to move now. The Inquisitors will be here any moment." One of the prisoners, a Zabrak Jedi, steps forward. His face is scarred and one arm is missing, replaced with a crude cybernetic. "Why should we trust you, Vader? You've hunted us for years. This could be another game, another way to torture us. I don't blame you for not trusting me, but right now, your choices are limited. Stay here and face the Inquisitors alone, or come with us and have a fighting chance. Your call." The Zabrak studies him for a long moment, then nods. "We'll take the fighting chance, but if this is a trick, if you betray us, I will personally ensure you regret it." "Fair enough. Now, arm yourselves with whatever you can find. We're about to have company." As if on cue, the far doors of the detention chamber explode inward. 6 Inquisitors stride through, their red, double-bladed lightsabers igniting in unison. At their head is the Grand Inquisitor himself, tall and imposing in his dark armor. His yellow eyes fix on Vader, and a cruel smile crosses his face. "Lord Vader, or should I say, traitor. The Emperor predicted you would come here. He's been most displeased with your betrayal. I'm going to enjoy breaking you before I deliver your corpse to him." Vader steps forward, his white blade held in a defensive position. His former master and apprentice flank him, with the freed prisoners behind them. "I am not Lord Vader anymore. That name and that life are behind me. Now I am simply Anakin Skywalker, and I'm here to stop you from hurting anyone else." The Grand Inquisitor laughs, a sound like grinding metal. "You think changing your name changes what you are? You're still a monster, Skywalker. The blood on your hands doesn't wash away just because you've decided to pretend to be a hero again. The Jedi you murdered don't get to change their minds. The innocents you slaughtered don't get redemption. Why should you? You're right. I don't deserve redemption. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying to earn it. Now stand aside, or we'll go through you. Through us it is, then." The Grand Inquisitor gestures, and the other Inquisitors spread out, surrounding them. "This will be your grave, traitor. And when you're dead, we'll finish off your friends and drag these prisoners back to their cells. The Emperor's will shall be done." The battle begins with explosive force. The Inquisitors attack from all sides, their spinning lightsabers creating a web of deadly energy. Vader meets the Grand Inquisitor's charge, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. Behind him, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka engage the other Inquisitors, their movements fluid and coordinated. The freed prisoners join the fight where they can, using debris as weapons and the Force to throw off the Inquisitors' attacks. The Grand Inquisitor is every bit as skilled as Vader remembered. His fighting style, a corrupted version of the defensive forms used by temple guards. He spins his double-bladed saber in complex patterns, creating openings and then exploiting them with ruthless precision. But Vader is no longer the rage-fueled monster he was. As Vader, his movements are calmer, more controlled, drawing on Jedi training rather than Sith aggression. He parries each attack, waiting for the right moment to counter. You've grown weak, Skywalker. The Grand Inquisitor's voice is mocking as they fight. The dark side gave you power, made you strong. But now you're just another failed Jedi, clinging to outdated philosophies and false hope. You'll die like the rest of your kind. Vader doesn't respond, focusing instead on the battle. He can sense Obi-Wan and Ahsoka holding their own against the other Inquisitors. But they're outnumbered. The freed prisoners are helping, but most are weakened from captivity and torture. They need to end this quickly. He reaches out with the Force, not with hatred, but with calm determination. The water that's been dripping from the ceiling suddenly surges, forming into a wave that crashes over the Inquisitors. It's not enough to hurt them, but it breaks their concentration and disrupts their formation. Obi-Wan seizes the opportunity, his lightsaber flashing as he cuts down one Inquisitor. Ahsoka follows up, her twin blades taking another out of the fight. The Grand Inquisitor snarls in fury and intensifies his assault. His blade moves faster, striking from impossible angles. Vader gives ground, drawing the Inquisitor away from the others. They fight across the detention chamber, their lightsabers painting the walls with light. The Grand Inquisitor is relentless, and Vader can feel himself tiring. The modifications to his suit have removed the constant pain, but they haven't reversed the damage to his body. He's still more machine than man, and his endurance is limited. But then Vader remembers something Qui-Gon told him during his meditations. The Force is not about winning every battle through strength. Sometimes it's about outlasting your opponent, letting their aggression defeat them. So Vader shifts his strategy. Instead of trying to overpower the Grand Inquisitor, he focuses on defense. He parries and redirects, letting the Inquisitor's attacks slide off his blade. He gives ground when necessary, conserving his energy while forcing his opponent to expend theirs. The Grand Inquisitor's movements become more frantic, more aggressive. He can sense that Vader is changing, becoming something he doesn't understand. This isn't the Vader he knew, the rage-filled monster who could be goaded into mistakes. This is something else, something more dangerous because it's controlled and patient. The realization makes him desperate, and desperation leads to mistakes. The Grand Inquisitor overextends on a strike, putting too much force behind it. Vader sidesteps the attack and counters, his white blade slicing through the Inquisitor's lightsaber hilt. The weapon sparks and dies, leaving the Grand Inquisitor defenseless. For a moment, they stand frozen, Vader's blade at the Inquisitor's throat. He could kill him easily. The dark side whispers that he should, that this fallen Jedi deserves death for all he's done. But Vader pushes the thought aside. Surrender. You've lost. There's no need for you to die here. The Grand Inquisitor's eyes widen, first in shock, then in rage. You dare offer me mercy? After everything? You think that makes you better than me? We're the same, Skywalker. Monsters who betrayed everything we once believed in. The only difference is, I accepted what I am. No, that's where you're wrong. We're not the same. You gave in to the dark side and embraced it, but I'm fighting my way back to the light. It may take the rest of my life, and I may never fully succeed, but at least I'm trying. Now, surrender. Please. I don't want to kill you. The Grand Inquisitor's expression twists into something between hatred and despair. If I return to Palpatine without you, he'll torture me for failing. and I won't give him that satisfaction." Before Vader can react, the Inquisitor throws himself backward, impaling himself on a piece of broken metal. He dies almost instantly, his yellow eyes fading to gray. Vader stands over the body, feeling only sadness. Another life lost to Palpatine's corruption. Another person who couldn't find their way back from the darkness. "Master, we need to go." Ahsoka's voice snaps him back to the present. "The other Inquisitors are dead or fleeing, but reinforcements will be here soon. We have to evacuate now." Vader nods and turns to the freed prisoners. "Can everyone move? We need to get to the ship quickly." Most of them nod, though some are injured and need support. They make their way back through the fortress, moving as quickly as possible. Behind them, they can hear the sounds of stormtroopers and security droids mobilizing. The entire fortress is on high alert now. Every automated defense system active. They fight their way through waves of security forces, lightsabers flashing in the dim corridors. The freed prisoners help where they can, using the Force to collapse corridors behind them and slow their pursuers. It's chaotic and desperate, but they keep moving. Finally, they reach the maintenance entrance and their ship. But as they approach, Vader senses something wrong. There are more presences nearby, dark and powerful. More Inquisitors, or perhaps something worse. Two figures step out of the shadows, blocking their path to the ship. Vader recognizes them immediately. The fifth brother and seventh sister, two of the most dangerous Inquisitors. They've been waiting, letting the others exhaust themselves before springing their trap. The fifth brother is massive and intimidating, while the seventh sister is smaller but incredibly fast. Together, they're a formidable team. "Going somewhere, traitor." The seventh sister's voice is mocking. "The Grand Inquisitor may have failed, but we won't. You're not leaving this fortress alive. We'll see about that." Vader ignites his lightsaber and steps forward. "Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, get the prisoners to the ship. I'll handle these two. You can't fight both of them alone." Obi-Wan moves to his side. "We do this together." No argument. Vader smiles behind his mask. "It seems old habits die hard, Master." The two Inquisitors attack simultaneously, their fighting styles complementing each other perfectly. The fifth brother uses brute strength, his heavy strikes forcing his opponents back. The seventh sister exploits the openings he creates, darting in with quick, precise attacks. It's a proven strategy that's defeated many Jedi before, but Vader and Obi-Wan are not ordinary Jedi. They've fought together for years, know each other's moves instinctively. Vader meets the fifth brother's charge, his blade locked against the Inquisitor's spinning saber. The clash sends shockwaves through his cybernetics, but he holds firm. Beside him, Obi-Wan engages the seventh sister, his defensive form perfectly suited to counter her aggressive style. The four of them move through the corridor in a deadly dance, lightsabers flashing. Behind them, Ahsoka is shepherding the prisoners onto the ship, preparing for immediate departure. The battle is intense but brief. The fifth brother, relying too heavily on strength, leaves himself open to a force push from Vader that sends him crashing into the wall. Before he can recover, Obi-Wan disarms him with a precise strike. The seventh sister, seeing her partner defeated, tries to flee. But Ahsoka intercepts her, and the two engage in a brief but fierce duel. The seventh sister is skilled, but Ahsoka has been fighting and surviving for years without the support of an organization. She's learned to be unpredictable and resourceful. Her white blades find their mark, and the seventh sister falls, everyone on the ship. Now, Vader can sense more reinforcements closing in. They have minutes at most before they're overwhelmed. The group rushes aboard, and Ahsoka immediately fires up the engines. The ship lifts off just as stormtroopers round the corner, their blaster fire pinging harmlessly off the hull. They accelerate away from the fortress, dodging turbolaser fire from the defensive platforms. For a moment, Vader thinks they're going to make it cleanly. But then, sensors scream a warning. 3 Imperial Star Destroyers are dropping out of hyperspace above them, blocking their escape route. Of course, Palpatine wouldn't leave such an important facility undefended. The Star Destroyers immediately open fire, massive green bolts of energy cutting through space. Ahsoka throws the ship into evasive maneuvers, her piloting skills the only thing keeping them alive. Hold on. She banks hard, diving toward the planet's ocean surface. The Star Destroyers follow, their turbolasers turning the water to steam where they miss. TIE fighters launch from their hangar bays, swarming like insects. Obi-Wan takes the gun turret, firing at the pursuing fighters. Vader moves to help coordinate the freed prisoners, many of whom are Jedi with useful skills. One takes the co-pilot seat and helps Ahsoka with navigation. Another uses the Force to deflect some of the incoming fire. They skim across the ocean surface, using the waves and occasional rock formations for cover. Behind them, the TIE fighters are relentless. Several get close enough to score hits on the ship's shields, which flare and weaken with each impact. They're not going to outrun them. Not with a ship this size and this many pursuers. They need a different strategy. Vader closes his eyes and reaches out through the Force, not just to their immediate surroundings, but to the ocean itself. The planet is mostly water, with massive tidal forces and violent storms. If he can tap into that natural chaos, maybe he can create the cover they need to escape. He extends his will into the ocean, feeling the currents and pressure. Then, with a massive effort, he reaches up toward the sky and pulls. Dark clouds form with impossible speed, a localized storm manifesting in seconds. Lightning arcs across the sky, striking TIE fighters and sending them spiraling into the ocean. The winds pick up, creating massive waves that batter the Star Destroyers' hulls. It's not enough to destroy the massive vessels, but it forces them to break off their pursuit and focus on weathering the storm. In the chaos, Ahsoka angles the ship towards space and punches the hyperdrive. They jump away just as a turbolaser bolt passes through the space where they were. In the sudden silence of hyperspace, everyone lets out a collective breath. They made it. Against all odds, they rescued the prisoners and escaped. But Vader can feel the cost of that Force storm. Creating weather on such a scale has drained him completely. He slumps in his seat, his respirator laboring. Obi-Wan is immediately at his side, checking his vital signs. You pushed yourself too hard. His former master's voice is concerned. Creating a storm like that could have killed you. Worth it. We needed the distraction. Vader's voice is weak. Did everyone make it? All the prisoners are accounted for. Ahsoka calls from the cockpit. We lost some of the ship's systems in the fight, but nothing critical. We should reach the rendezvous point in about 6 hours. Good. Then I'm going to rest for a while. Vader closes his eyes, letting exhaustion take him. For the first time in 3 years, He feels like he's accomplished something meaningful, something good. The feeling carries him into a deep, dreamless sleep. When he wakes, several hours have passed. They've dropped out of hyperspace at a remote asteroid field, a location Obi-Wan selected as a safe meeting point. The freed prisoners are gathered in the ship's common area, and Vader can sense a mixture of emotions from them. Fear, suspicion, but also cautious hope. He makes his way to join them, knowing this conversation will be difficult but necessary. The Zabrak Jedi from earlier stands as Vader enters. He gestures to the others, a mix of humans and aliens. We've been talking, and we have questions. A lot of questions. Starting with why. Why did you do it? Why turn against Palpatine after 3 years as his enforcer? You've hunted us, killed our friends, destroyed our families. What could possibly make you change now? Vader takes a seat, his modified armor creaking slightly. The questions are fair, and he owes them honest answers. I went to Mustafar to oversee construction of a fortress there. While exploring the site, I found something I thought was lost forever. A Japer snippet, a wooden pendant that I made when I was 9 years old. I gave it to someone I loved, and she was wearing it when I killed her. Finding it triggered something. Memories I'd been suppressing. Guilt I'd been drowning in hatred. And for the first time since my fall, I felt remorse. One of the other prisoners, a human woman, speaks up. Remorse? That's it? You suddenly felt bad about all the terrible things you'd done, and that made everything okay? No. Nothing I do will ever make it okay. Vader's voice is firm. I've done terrible things, unforgivable things, and I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life. But feeling remorse was the first step. It made me realize I couldn't continue being Palpatine's weapon. I couldn't keep destroying lives and spreading tyranny, so I chose to turn back to the light. Even though I don't deserve redemption, the Zabrak crosses his arms. And we're just supposed to believe that? Supposed to trust that this isn't an elaborate trick? You could be leading us into a trap right now. You're right not to trust me. Vader meets his gaze steadily. If I were in your position, I wouldn't trust me either. But I offer you this. Reach out through the Force. Examine what's inside me. You'll see the darkness is still there. 3 years of atrocities don't just vanish, but you'll also see the light growing stronger every day. And you'll see my commitment to fight Palpatine, to stop the Empire from hurting anyone else. If you sense deception, if you think this is a trap, then I won't stop you from leaving. Several of the Jedi close their eyes, reaching out through the Force. Vader opens himself to their scrutiny, hiding nothing. They probe his intentions, examining his motives and his resolve. It's uncomfortable, having his soul laid bare like this, but he endures it, knowing he has to prove himself. After several minutes, they open their eyes. The Zabrak speaks first, his voice thoughtful. I sense truth in what you say. The commitment is real. You truly have turned against Palpatine, but I also sense how fragile that commitment is. The darkness is still strong in you, and it would be easy to fall back. How do we know you won't betray us when things get difficult? You don't. That's the honest answer. The dark side is always there, always tempting me with promises of power. Every day is a struggle to choose the light over the easy path of hatred. but I'm committed to that struggle. And having allies, people who will hold me accountable, makes it easier. If I start to slip, if the darkness starts to take control again, I'm counting on people like you to pull me back, or stop me if necessary. The prisoners exchange glances, having a silent conversation through the Force. Finally, the woman who spoke earlier nods. All right, we'll give you a chance. But understand this, we'll be watching you. At the first sign that you're turning back to the dark side, at the first hint of betrayal, we'll take you down. You won't get a chance to hurt anyone else. I understand, and I accept those terms. Now, tell me about yourselves. How long were you imprisoned? What skills do you have? If we're going to fight the Empire together, I need to know what we're working with. They spend the next several hours sharing stories and information. The Zabrak's name is Maris, and he was a Jedi Knight who survived Order 66 by being on a remote mission when it happened. He's been evading Imperial hunters ever since, until the Inquisitors finally caught him 6 months ago. The human woman is called Senna, a former Padawan who was elevated to Knight during the Clone Wars. She specialized in healing and has kept that knowledge despite her captivity. The others have similar stories. Survivors who've been running and hiding, trying to stay alive in a galaxy that wants them dead. As they talk, a plan begins to form. These survivors represent valuable skills and knowledge. If they can recruit more like them, if they can build a network of Jedi and rebels working together, they might actually have a chance against the Empire. But first, they need a base of operations, somewhere they can gather and train without fear of discovery, somewhere defensible but remote enough to avoid Imperial attention. I know a place. Obi-Wan has been listening quietly, but now he speaks up. There's a planet in the deep core called Tython. It's one of the ancient Jedi worlds, abandoned thousands of years ago but still strong in the Force. The Empire doesn't know about it because it's not in any modern star charts. We could establish a base there, hidden from Palpatine's view. The deep core is dangerous. Ahsoka's voice is cautious. The hyperspace routes are unstable, and there are gravitational anomalies that make navigation nearly impossible. Even if we find Tython, getting there regularly will be a challenge. But that's also what makes it perfect. Vader recognizes the wisdom in Obi-Wan's suggestion. If it's hard for us to reach, it's even harder for the Empire to find. And being strong in the Force means we can train there, help new Jedi develop their abilities. It's worth the risk. They put it to a vote, and the decision is unanimous. They'll make for Tython, establish a base, and begin reaching out to other survivors. It's the first step in building something larger, an organization that can actually challenge the Empire. As they prepare to make the jump, Vader allows himself a moment of hope. For the first time since Mustafar, he feels like he's part of something meaningful, something good. The road ahead is long and dangerous, but he's not walking it alone anymore. The journey to Tython takes 3 days, navigating treacherous hyperspace routes and gravitational anomalies. But they arrive intact, emerging from hyperspace above a lush green world covered in forests and mountains. The Force presence here is incredible, ancient, and powerful. This was one of the first Jedi worlds, where the Order began millennia ago. Landing on the surface feels like coming home, even though Vader has never been here before. They establish a base camp in the ruins of an ancient Jedi temple. The structure is weathered and overgrown, but the bones are solid. With work, it can be restored into a functional headquarters. The freed prisoners throw themselves into the task, grateful to have purpose again after months of imprisonment. Maris proves to be an excellent organizer, coordinating work parties and resource allocation. Senna uses her healing abilities to tend to the injured and sick. Everyone contributes something, and slowly, the base begins to take shape. While the others work on the physical structure, Vader, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka begin reaching out through the Force. They send carefully crafted messages to other survivors, letting them know there's a safe place where they can gather. The responses are slow at first. Many Jedi are too scared to risk revealing themselves. But gradually, ones and twos begin to arrive. Some come seeking refuge. Others come ready to fight. Each arrival makes the base a little stronger, the community a little larger. 3 months after establishing the base, they've gathered nearly 30 Jedi and Force-sensitive individuals. It's not many compared to the thousands who died in Order 66, but it's a start. They train together, sharing knowledge and techniques. Vader finds himself in the unexpected role of teacher, passing on combat skills and tactical knowledge. It's strange but fulfilling, using his abilities to build up rather than tear down, to help people become stronger instead of breaking them. But not everyone at the base trusts him. There are still many who look at him with fear and suspicion, who remember what he did as Vader and can't reconcile that with the person he's trying to become. He doesn't blame them. Some losses can never be forgiven, but he continues to work, continues to prove through actions that he's committed to the light. And slowly, very slowly, the suspicion begins to ease. Not disappear, but ease. It's progress. One evening, as Vader meditates in the restored temple, Obi-Wan joins him. They sit in silence for a while, both reaching out through the Force and feeling the web of life that connects all things. Finally, Obi-Wan speaks. "You've done well here, Anakin. I'm proud of what you've accomplished. You've given these people hope when they had none, purpose when they thought all was lost. That means something. It's not enough. I can never make up for what I've done, but at least it's something. At least I'm moving in the right direction. That's all any of us can do. Move in the right direction and hope that we get a little better each day." Obi-Wan places a hand on his shoulder. "The person you were as Vader, that's not who you are now. You've changed, Anakin. Grown. And that change is real. I hope so. Because the next phase is going to test that change." Vader opens his eyes and looks at his former master. "We've built a refuge here, a safe place for survivors. But that's not enough to stop the Empire. We need to actually fight back. Strike at Palpatine's power base and liberate worlds from Imperial control. And that means risking everything we've built." It does. But isn't that what the Jedi are supposed to do? Fight for justice, even when it's dangerous, even when the odds are against us. That's what you taught me, Master. That being a Jedi means standing up for what's right, no matter the cost. Then we'll fight, but not recklessly. We'll be smart about it. Choose our battles carefully. Obi-Wan's voice is thoughtful. The Empire is vast, but it's not invincible. There are cracks in Palpatine's control, worlds that chafe under Imperial rule. If we can support those worlds, help them resist, we might be able to spark a larger rebellion. Exactly, and I know which worlds to target. During my time as Vader, I was sent to crush dissent on dozens of planets. I know which ones have strong resistance movements, which leaders can be trusted. We can reach out to them, offer our support, and help coordinate their efforts. Over the following weeks, they put this plan into action. Using hidden communication channels and intermediaries, they reach out to various resistance cells across the galaxy. The response is mixed. Some are enthusiastic, eager for any help against the Empire. Others are suspicious, particularly when they learn that Darth Vader is involved. But gradually, a network begins to form. Different cells sharing information, coordinating attacks, supporting each other. It's the beginning of something larger, a true rebellion. Vader takes a particularly active role in these operations. He leads strike teams to liberate prisoners, sabotage Imperial facilities, and protect resistance leaders from assassination. Each mission is dangerous, with the constant risk of Imperial discovery. But each success builds momentum, shows that the Empire can be resisted. More importantly, each mission helps Vader prove to himself that he's changed, that he can use his skills and power for good instead of evil. 6 months after establishing the base on Tython, they receive critical intelligence. One of their contacts in the Imperial bureaucracy has learned about a high-level strategy meeting on Coruscant. Several regional governors and military commanders will be gathering to discuss counterinsurgency operations. It's a target of opportunity, a chance to eliminate multiple Imperial leaders at once. But it's also incredibly risky. Coruscant is the heart of the Empire, the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy. We should take this opportunity. Maris advocates strongly for the mission during their council meeting. Taking out that many Imperial leaders at once would be a significant blow. It would disrupt their operations for months while they scramble to replace them. But the risk is enormous. Senna's voice is cautious. Coruscant has planetary shields, thousands of defense platforms, and an entire fleet in orbit. Getting in will be nearly impossible. Getting out even more so. We could lose everyone we send, which is why we don't send everyone. Vader has been studying the intelligence reports carefully. We send a small team, highly skilled, with clear objectives. Get in, eliminate the targets, get out. Fast and clean. It's still suicide. Another Jedi, a Twi'lek named Kara, shakes her head. Even if you manage to reach the meeting location, you'll have to fight your way through whatever security Palpatine has in place. And he will have anticipated this. The Emperor is many things, but stupid isn't one of them. Vader meets her gaze steadily. You're right. It's almost certainly a trap. Palpatine knows we've been hitting Imperial targets. He's probably set this up specifically to lure us out. But we can't pass up this opportunity. If we can take out this many Imperial leaders, it will inspire others to resist. It will show the galaxy that the Empire is not invincible. And if it's a trap, then at least we'll be facing Palpatine on our terms, rather than waiting for him to come to us. The Council debates for hours, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. Finally, they reach a decision. They'll attempt the mission, but with strict parameters. A small strike team led by Vader, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. They'll have support from the base, including extraction teams ready to pull them out if things go wrong. And if they sense that the trap is too dangerous, they'll abort and retreat. Everyone knows it's a long shot, but they also know it's necessary. This is the moment they transition from survivors to active resistance. They spend 2 weeks preparing, gathering intelligence, and planning every detail. The meeting is scheduled to take place in the Senate building, in one of the secure conference rooms on the upper levels. Security will be heavy, but there are vulnerabilities. Service corridors that aren't as well monitored. Blind spots in the surveillance systems. If they can exploit those weaknesses, they might be able to reach the targets without alerting the entire Imperial military. The night before the mission, Vader can't sleep. He stands on a balcony overlooking the Tython forests, watching the moonlight filter through the trees. He's been in countless battles, faced death more times than he can count. But this feels different. This feels like the culmination of everything he's been working towards since Mustafar, a chance to strike directly at the Empire's leadership and prove that he's truly committed to the light. Ahsoka joins him on the balcony, her presence a comforting familiarity in the Force. Can't sleep either? Not really. Too much going through my mind. Vader's voice is quiet. This mission, it could change everything. Or it could end with all of us dead and the rebellion crushed before it truly begins. That's always the risk, but that's also why we have to try. Ahsoka leans against the railing beside him. The galaxy needs people willing to take risks, to put everything on the line for what's right. That's what being a Jedi means. And Anakin, whether you fully accept it or not, you're a Jedi again. Maybe not the same one you were before, but a Jedi nonetheless. I don't know if I can ever truly be a Jedi again. Not after what I've done. The Order is gone, destroyed partly because of me. What right do I have to claim that title? The Order was flawed, Sky Guy. She uses the old nickname deliberately, and it makes him smile behind his mask. They were so focused on their rules and traditions that they lost sight of what truly mattered. Compassion, justice, helping people. You're doing all of that now. You're living up to the ideals the Jedi were supposed to embody, even if you're not following their exact code. That makes you more of a Jedi than most who wore the robes. They stand in comfortable silence, watching the moon traverse the sky. Eventually, Obi-Wan joins them, unable to sleep as well. The three of them, Master, Apprentice, and Grand Apprentice, united in purpose despite their complicated history. As the first light of dawn breaks over Tython, they make their final preparations. The ship is ready, the team assembled. It's time to strike at the heart of the Empire and see if they can truly make a difference. One way or another, after tomorrow, nothing will be the same. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.